Did you know there are bats that can regenerate entire rainforests? And others that hunt their prey using a natural radar, more precise than a military submarine's? And no, they're not the same. Today I'm going to show you the 7 key differences between frugivorous, fruit-eating bats, and insectivorous, insect-eating bats. 2 groups of nocturnal animals that are essential to the planet, yet operate in completely different ways. Stay until the end of the video to discover everything about these magnificent animals. Frugivorous. Fruit-eating bats feed mainly on ripe fruit, and at times they also ingest the pollen that sticks to the surface of those fruits. They're the forest's gardeners. By eating fruit, they disperse seeds over long distances, helping regenerate and expand entire ecosystems. Did you know some tropical forests depend almost entirely on them to stay alive? These bats literally fly with seeds in their stomachs and plant them as they defecate while moving from place to place, kick-starting the growth of new plants. Insectivores. In contrast, insect-eating bats hunt flying insects with astonishing precision. They feed on moths, mosquitoes, beetles, and many other aerial insects, sometimes consuming up to 1,000 insects per hour. They're the best natural pesticide there is. Without them, annoying bugs and crop-damaging pests would be far more abundant, and itchy bites would be the order of the day. Even though at first glance they might look similar, their bodies are perfectly adapted to what they eat and how they behave at night. Frugivorous bats. Frugivorous bats have a larger, more robust body than other types. Why? They need the strength to carry fruit in their stomachs and fly long distances while dispersing seeds through the forest. On top of that, their snout is longer and more flexible, which lets them access the inside of fruits without damaging them. Not as slender as that of nectar feeders, but just right to be efficient gardeners of the forest. Frugivorous bats usually have large, well-developed eyes. Unlike other bats, they don't always depend on echolocation. Many rely on their vision, and some even see in the dark better than we do in broad daylight. Their fur is usually light or in brownish tones, which helps them blend in among branches and leaves during the day, when they rest in the trees. Insectivorous bats. In contrast, insectivorous bats have a small, compact body, perfect for quick maneuvers and agile flight between branches or even between buildings. Their ears are large and highly mobile, playing a crucial role in their echolocation system and allowing them to pick up even the faintest buzz in complete darkness. Their nose often has special folds that help channel the ultrasonic sounds they emit, improving their orientation. And their wings change depending on where they live. Those that hunt in tight spaces have short, broad wings to turn quickly and move with precision, while those that fly in open areas have longer, narrower wings, ideal for fast, long-distance flight. Fun fact: some frugivorous bats can remember for years which trees bear fruit in which season and return to the exact same spot at just the right moment. Their spatial memory is prodigious. Insectivorous bats. Masters of sonar. These bats emit ultrasonic sounds, so high-pitched the human ear can't detect them, and analyze the echoes that bounce off objects, insects, and surfaces. Thanks to this, they can draw a 3-dimensional map of their surroundings in total darkness. Surgical precision. They can detect insects as tiny as a mosquito mid-flight, calculate its speed, direction, and trajectory, and snatch it in a fraction of a second. Auto-tuning. They adjust the frequency and power of their calls depending on the environment. Louder in open spaces, softer in cluttered areas to avoid the noise of unnecessary echoes. Think about this. Their echolocation is so precise it's been studied to improve military technology, radar systems, and even self-driving cars. Bats don't just sweep across the night. Many of them, without you even noticing, are holding entire ecosystems together and helping humanity more than any pesticide or drone ever could. Frugivorous bats. The forest's gardeners. In tropical ecosystems, numerous essential processes unfold under the cover of darkness. Frugivorous bats play a key role by consuming ripe fruit and spreading seeds far from the parent tree, thereby boosting the restoration and growth of tropical forests, especially in degraded areas. In doing so, they help preserve biodiversity and maintain the balance of these habitats. Insectivorous bats. The natural controllers of the sky. Bats act as living pesticides and invisible allies of farmers, since they can consume between 50% and 100% of their body weight in insects every night. Moreover, by hunting mosquitoes that carry diseases such as dengue, malaria, or Zika, they help significantly reduce the risk of outbreaks in tropical and subtropical regions. This vital role has a huge economic impact because their natural service represents millions of dollars saved each year in pesticides and medical treatments. Without them, many crops would suffer greater losses, and cities would face a rise in insect-borne diseases. Powerful curiosity. The colony of Mexican free-tailed bats, Tadarida brasiliensis, in Bracken Cave, near San Antonio, is one of the largest in the world, with approximately 15 to 20 million individuals. On summer nights, these bats can consume enormous quantities of insects, including mosquitoes and agricultural pests. It's estimated that, collectively, they can eat several tons of insects each season. This massive consumption represents an important form of natural pest control, helping reduce the need for pesticides in crops. Frugivorous bats, which live mainly in tropical and subtropical regions, tend to prefer shelters such as caves, tree hollows, or rooftops, and they usually move in small groups or pairs. In contrast, insectivorous bats are more common and found across a wide range of habitats, from rainforests to cities. They roost in buildings, crevices, and trees, and can form enormous colonies that boost their survival and ecological effectiveness. So far, we've talked about how they live, feed, and help the planet. Now I'd like to share a few fascinating curiosities. 1. Unexpected longevity. Can you imagine a bat living longer than your dog or cat? It's real. Some species of frugivorous bats can live more than 30 years in the wild. 30. For such a small, high-energy animal, that's a record. This longevity is due in part to their antioxidant-rich diet, fruit, and to the low number of natural predators they face at night. 2. Hibernation with surgical precision. On the other hand, some insectivorous bats survive extreme winters by hibernating like bears. During this process, they drop their heart rate to fewer than 10 beats per minute, lower their body temperature, and enter a torpor state that can last for months. They literally pause their lives until the warmth returns. A perfect adaptation for surviving harsh climates. 3. Long-distance nocturnal athletes. Frugivores don't just live long, they also travel far. There are documented cases of bats covering more than 50 kilometers in a single night in search of ripe fruit. This not only demands incredible spatial orientation, but also prodigious memory, since they can recall the exact location of fruit trees they visited days earlier. Bats have been wrapped in horror stories, superstitions, and bad press for centuries. But it's time to separate myth from reality. Here are the 4 most common mistakes most people believe, and why they're completely wrong. 1. All bats suck blood. false. We owe this myth to Hollywood and vampire tales. In reality, out of more than 1,400 bat species, only 3 feed on blood, and all of them live in Latin America. And most importantly, none of those 3 species are frugivorous or insectivorous. Also, they don't suck blood like movie vampires. They make a small superficial incision and lick. Most of the time, they don't even bother the animal they feed on. So no, your dog, your cow, nor you are in danger. These are the common vampire bat, Desmodus rotundus, the hairy-legged vampire bat, Diphila icordata, and the white-winged vampire bat, Diemus younga. 2. They're winged rats. Very false. Second mistake. Even though they have pointy ears and fly at night, bats are not rodents. In fact, they belong to a different evolutionary group and are more closely related to animals like dogs, cats, or horses than to rats or mice. This is because bats are part of the superorder Lauraceatheria, a group that includes many diverse placental mammals, while rodents and primates belong to a different superorder called Euarchontoglires. 3. They all use sonar. Incorrect. Many people think all bats see with their ears, but this only applies to certain species. Insectivorous bats rely heavily on echolocation to hunt in the dark, emitting ultrasonic sounds and analyzing the echoes to detect insects and obstacles. By contrast, frugivorous bats, like the large flying foxes, don't depend on echolocation to get around. They navigate primarily with highly developed vision and a keen sense of smell. This makes sense, since they don't need to chase prey in flight, but rather locate stationary fruits and flowers. Therefore, not all bats emit ultrasonic sounds to see in the dark. 4. They spread dangerous diseases. Half true. And finally, it's true that some bat species can be carriers of viruses, just like many other wild animals. However, the real risk to human health mainly arises when their natural habitat is disturbed. They're handled without proper precautions, or illegal wildlife trade is encouraged. Under natural conditions, and when their environment is respected, bats do not represent a significant danger. On the contrary, their ecological role is fundamental for human health, since insectivorous bats control populations of mosquitoes and other pests that can transmit disease. That's why protecting bats and their habitats is also a way to prevent outbreaks and maintain ecosystem balance. And now that you know more about frugivores and insectivores, did you know that without nectar-feeding bats there would be no tequila? They pollinate agave at night. Biodiversity and party time thanks to them. Do you want us to talk about those bats in another video? Drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. See you in the next video. And remember, the world is full of wonders just waiting for you to discover them.